Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with another random review. So my last review was The Mutilator, which I found on YouTube. And I was looking under the same playlist and I came across He Knows You're Alone, which is another early slasher film that I haven't been able to find, but I've always wanted to see, so watch that, and I'm going to review it. And the thing about this movie is, came out in 1980, which was the start of the big slasher boom. And at that time, you had a handful of big ones that would go on to become classics. You had some really terrible ones. But then you had some that were just called Halloween or Friday the 13th ripoffs. I've seen a lot of films that have been called that. But out of all of them, this is the biggest Halloween ripoff, or clone. This is the biggest Halloween clone. And I know, I'm terribly stuffed up again. I would say I didn't dislike it enough to rant on it, but there are a lot of similarities between this and Halloween. It really felt like they were trying to redo Halloween. But there's a lot of other things you can talk about it with it. I mean, I think one of the biggest things about this film is that it's pretty notorious for being the first film that Tom Hanks was in. Albeit one short scene. And actually, fun fact, Tom Hanks' character, Elliot, was supposed to be killed. He was supposed to be killed at the same time as the Nancy character. But this is the most Tom Hanks thing I've ever heard. Because his nice guy reputation, everybody loves him. The filmmakers liked Tom Hanks so much, just as a person, that they couldn't see killing him. They wrote his death out of the movie. And it's like, that's the most Tom Hanks thing I've ever heard in my life. And his role is kind of funny. He was a comedic actor back in the 80s, so, there's some dry comedy in his short scene. But basically, what this movie is you have a bride-to-be played by, I actually don't even remember her name, Caitlin O'Heedy, which actually, other than Tom Hanks, there's a number of people that are recognizable. Like, there's one detective played by Paul Gleason, who is the principal from Breakfast Club. The main character's younger sister, who she goes to the carnival or the fair with, is Dana Barron, who is the original Audrey Griswold from the first Vacation. And actually, when the movie opens up with a sequence that the camera pans out and shows it's a movie within a movie at a theater, the guy in that movie is, I believe, he was the guy that got strung up upside down and got killed in Friday the 13th Part 2. So there are some. Oh, and also the lead, Marvin, is played by Don Scardino, who I know has been in a lot of stuff. But anyway, so Catherine O'Heedy is this woman, plays Amy. She's getting ready to she's getting married in like the next week. Her fiance is away at a bachelor party, and all of her friends and bridesmaids are being killed off by this psycho named Ray. And we don't see this right off, but it is explained to us in the beginning that Ray killed this woman some years ago on her wedding day, and she is the ex-girlfriend of Ray. She turned down his wedding proposal for someone else, and he killed her. And so now he's stalking Amy and killing her friends. He even kills the uh, dress shop owner guy that fits her dress. Excuse me. A lot of the deaths, there's not really a lot of blood. I mean, that's one reason why it's, excuse me, like Halloween. You get some off-screen kills and like see the aftermath, like their dead body, or it's like stabbings where you don't see much blood. There really isn't much blood in it at all. And Don Scardino plays Marvin, who is her ex-boyfriend who wants to get back with her. And I would say, even though it is a lot like Halloween, I I did enjoy it. It's definitely not really entertaining. It is very slow paced. It or its pacing's kind of all over the place. Like some some parts are really slow. Then like once the kills come in, it starts to pick up. Totally, it's kind of all over the place. Like sometimes it feels like a stalker slasher. Other times it feels, I don't know, like it's not very well put together. It doesn't have like 100% strong pacing or tone. The very ending, I kind of had a problem with. Kind of had a problem with it. But again, there are some slasher films from 1980, like just this year alone, that are bad, and I prefer this one. This is a much better slasher film. For example, of course, The Boogeyman, which is like the worst 80s slasher I've ever seen. Even the movie Madhouse, and no, not Madhouse from the 70s with like I actually think Peter Cushing is in that movie. Or even like Don't Answer the Phone. Like that's one I was really disappointed in. But I mean, you could just go down the list at how much this is like Halloween. In fact, the opening with the movie theater and the movie within the movie, a girl gets up, goes to the bathroom, she comes back, and she gets stabbed to death in the theater. What does that sound like? Scream 2. The opening to Scream 2. Of course, in that, the boyfriend gets killed in the bathroom, but it just Jada Pinkett gets killed in the theater. But still, bathroom, stabbing in the theater, Scream 2. Also, even the score. The score is very much Halloween sounding. It's just a very simple little piano arrangement with some dark tones put over it. Whenever the killer is around, there's like that just she, or just that horror movie kind of loud piece. There even are shots where, like in Halloween, where he's in the background and the music doesn't tell you, but then someone steps in frame or it cuts away, then cuts back, and then he's gone. Like the scene in the ice cream shop. There's the scene where she's making coffee. She looks out the window and he's standing there at a distance by, around a corner. There's like a hedge or something. It's like a mixture of the famous hedge scene from Halloween and when she's looking out the window and there's like the sheet blowing over him. It's like a mixture of those two things. You don't really have a Dr. Loomis character, but you have this detective who has a past with him. He knows he was involved in a previous murder some years ago, and he's after him. He doesn't play as big a part as Dr. Loomis, but he's still the Loomis type character. You get a lot of scenes where, like these establishing shots of like a house, and then he will just like step into frame, just like the corner, like say this bookshelf is the house. He'll just like step in like the corner where it's all black, carries a knife. In fact, when he's chasing her at the end, it's nighttime. So really, you just see all black, and just with the way the quality is, you can't make out his face, but it's a pale face. He's not wearing a mask, but so it's very, very close to Halloween. And I can't really fault it for that because Halloween was the big moneymaker at the time. It did set the standard for slasher films. Well, that and Friday the 13th. But there's a difference between some movies taking inspiration and then this literally trying to be Halloween. Instead of a babysitter and her babysitting friends, except for PJ Souls, but babysitting friends, you have a bride and her friends and bridesmaids. You even have a part where there's this one couple who are fooling around, and then it's kind of done in reverse. But like, the boyfriend actually is a professor that this girl's having an affair with. Power goes out, so he goes down to fix it, leaves her in bed, and then he comes back and she's dead. Kind of like the PJ Souls scene in Halloween, but kind of flipped. I mean, and some people complain about the quality, because it was made for like $250,000 less than Halloween. But I kind of like the quality and the look of the film. It gives it this low budget, sleazy look, even though it's not really a sleazy film. Kind of like Nightmare and Damaged Brain, just looks unremastered, not restored, just very, low budget and old. But I like that look. One of our friends even gets her head cut off, but like we don't see that. We just see her get her throat slit. And then when she walks in, her head is in the fish tank. It does have kind of like that the killer is still out there ending like Halloween, but it's done differently. Which actually, even before that, the final chase is in the morgue where her ex-boyfriend works. They lock him in the freezer, which has a window. So like, he breaks his arm through it and he's like reaching around trying to grab her. Kind of like the fucking scene in Halloween where Michael breaks through the door and is trying to open it. At least it looks like that scene. It was kind of stupid how it also, oh my god, when she flees the house and runs to the car, when it shows him running after her, the people outside, the way the shot is, it's nighttime, the big white house, the way the porch light, the trees, nighttime across the street, it looks just like the shot of when we see the I can't remember the name of the family now. The family across the street of Halloween, when Jamie Lee Curtis keeps looking. And when Michael Myers walks across the street towards Jamie Lee Curtis. It looks just like that shot. And of course, she's in a station wagon. She drives away as he's banging on the windows. But we didn't see him on the roof, but when she's driving down the road, he looks down in through the windshield. And of course, we have to have a scene where he like hits the window and tries grabbing her. Like the beginning of the other movie. So yeah. This movie very much is a clone to Halloween. Almost to the point where, Jesus, I wouldn't say it's distracting, but it does kind of take away from, the movie being itself. But anyway, so yeah. It ends with, okay, it's implied that she left her fiance to marry her ex-boyfriend. He saved her life, so why not? So then it shows her in her room getting her dress ready. And she turns around, looks at the camera, and it's like, oh, what are you doing here? Then it goes all red, sort of superimposed with the killer's, eyes, to imply that, oh, her now ex-fiance is killing her, just like the flashback from before. I don't really like that ending. It's just kind of like, because it's a completely separate person that, I don't know. I guess that's their version of the one last scare that has to happen in horror movies. I do like, it was a joy seeing Tom Hanks in his first role as like a blind date for her friend. He's like a psychology student talking about why people love horror movies and roller coasters and being scared. I was actually going into this ready to be disappointed. Kind of like Don't Answer the Phone and The Boogeyman. Because I'd also seen clips of the trailer for this and Going to Pieces, like I did The Boogeyman. So I was like, okay, this movie's going to suck. But actually, I guess what saved this movie was it is so much of a clone of Halloween that, I really I love Halloween, so, I guess that saved it. But it still should have been more so its own movie. I wasn't as disappointed as I thought I was going to be, but it wasn't as, I don't mind if a slasher film doesn't have blood and gore, as long as it's done well. And even though it ripped off Halloween, I gotta give it credit. It still had those scenes, like with the killer in the background, no jump scares. It does kind of have the music sometimes. That's another scene I forgot about. After the lead girl walks in the house, sees her friend's head in the fish tank. She backs into a wall. She's crying. The hallway right beside her is completely pitch black. But slowly coming into focus out of the darkness is the killer. Just like when Jamie Lee Curtis just like when Laurie Strode saw Annie's dead body on the bed with the tombstone. And then Michael's face slowly comes out of the darkness. I enjoyed it enough. As, I thought it was a good 1980s slasher. It's definitely going to be kind of forgettable. It's not one that's going to stick with me much, other than with how close to Halloween it is. But, compared to some other really bad 80s slashers I've seen, I could probably say I liked this movie. But it's not great. But He Knows You're Alone, 1980. A lot like Halloween, but not terrible. But anyway, thank you for watching.